Good morning and welcome to the little apartment on the prairie. Ignore the mess you see in my kitchen behind me. I wasn't feeling well yesterday. I've been sick on and off all winter. I'm on antibiotics. I've been on them for 10 days. My doctor actually told me, she gave me 2 weeks worth, but said if I felt all better after 10 days, I could quit taking them then. So yesterday was the 10th day. And I was running a fever again, even though I've been feeling well for several days. So, I don't know. Anyway, my whole point to that is that I did not clean up my kitchen yesterday. I went to bed instead. But today I wanted to talk about how a lot of things are changing and, well, that's a big understatement, isn't it? But a lot of things are changing, and as various states shut down what they consider non-essential businesses, we're going to need to start learning a lot of skills that a lot of us don't have. One of the things I was talking to a friend about yesterday was hair salons are closing. People are going to have to learn to cut their own hair or cut each other's hair. And I kind of jokingly said, well, thank goodness I shaved my head because, I tried to cut my own hair once. I think I was about 19 years old. 20 years old. It was a long time ago. It did not go well, and it was in the evening, and thankfully the haircutting place near my home had not closed yet. I was able to get there like half an hour before they closed for the night and get someone to fix my hair, because otherwise it was very bad. But anyway, a lot of us don't know how to do things like that, and there are so many things that we don't know how to do, or that the majority of people don't know how to do, that we may need to learn to do. And I think we are going to need to learn. What they consider essential and non-essential may vary a little bit from state to state or city to city, it sounds like. But things like clothing stores. Now, Walmart might stay open because they have groceries, but are they going to keep carrying non-food things? I mean, things like clothing, I don't know. But a lot of clothing stores are going to be closed. Dry cleaners, where not only do they clean your clothes for you, but a lot of them, they will mend clothing. They'll hem your pants or whatever, repair rips, and those aren't going to be open. So we're going to need to learn to repair our own clothing and, make our clothing last, because we're not going to be able to buy new clothing maybe for a while. I was talking to another friend yesterday about how it really looks like this thing is going to go on for many months, and it's going to lead to a lot of food shortages, because, come here, Isaac, bring me your Kong. He wants a treat in his Kong. This is like the best dog toy ever, Isaac says, and this is really gross. I need to wash it, but you put a treat in it and it occupies him for however long it takes him to get the treat out. So anyway, this is going to go on for a while. Food shortages are going to continue to be a thing. Hold on, Sassy, I'll get you a treat too. And people aren't, farmers may not be out there growing things, and we get a lot of food from around the world. So it's not only the farmers here in the United States, but if you're sick, you're not going to grow things. Or, if you plant things, but then you get sick before harvest, or it takes help to harvest. We get a lot of immigrants, a lot of migrant farm workers from south of the border, and that may not be happening this year to harvest things. They're talking about not allowing people work visas to cross over the border, which a lot of migrants, they do that. They come over just to work in the harvest season. And then, of course, there are also undocumented immigrants who come over without a visa. And we're probably going to be cracking down even more on that. But also they're discouraging, large groups of people, and it's going to affect harvest time. Transporting food across the country, let alone across the world, may be difficult. So there may be a shortage of food. I think there is going to be a shortage of food. There may also be a shortage of packaging to put food in. There may be a shortage of processed food. So if you don't know how to cook from scratch, from basic ingredients, you may not be able to buy, a box of whatever that you just add water to and have a meal. But there's probably going to be a shortage of food in general. So I was talking to my friend about how, you know, we're going to need to learn to garden. And I know a lot of people think this is going to blow over way before summer, way before the end of summer when you would be harvesting. But the government's now talking about this could go on for 12 to 18 months. You know, probably the most severe part will be over by then, but you know, if a lot of people are sick during planting season, stuff doesn't get in the ground, you can't necessarily put it in the ground late because it won't finish growing before it gets too cold. And so we also had so much flooding in the Midwest last year that I think that may have contributed to some food shortages. Not as bad as I feared, but you know, there's also like these locusts that are going crazy, eating all the crops over in parts of Africa right now. I don't know. It's a mess. So I think we may need to learn to garden. I think we may need to learn to cook things from basic ingredients. You know, you may be able to get the ingredients to make a cake, but you might not be able to get a cake mix. That kind of thing. We may need to learn to do some home repairs, because who's going to come in to repair things if a lot of people are sick and it may not seem safe to go into homes to repair things. In my apartment complex, the maintenance guy is still working, but he's been told, you know, that he's not supposed to go into anybody's house if they're sick. He said he had a couple people who had work orders in for repairs, but then they were sick, so they had to cancel, so he couldn't fix whatever it was. Sassy! She's trying to climb my spice rack. You know, I think we may need to learn to do a lot of things ourselves that we haven't been used to doing. We're going to need to take care of a lot of minor medical things at home, because it's not going to be, hospitals aren't going to be available to do that. They don't have the equipment. They don't have the staff. They're going to be full of people with this highly contagious disease. So if you sprain your ankle, you're going to need to take care of it at home. And people used to do, you know, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, I mean, you took care of almost everything at home. You had babies at home. You didn't have a doctor there. You know, you cut yourself, you stitched it up, or, you know, somebody else stitched it up for you, but you didn't go to a doctor. But, Sassy, if you knock that spice rack down, I'm going to be really mad at you. So there's just a lot of skills that we don't have that we need to learn. So I'm trying to learn about growing food, which is hard in an apartment. I did have a couple sweet pepper plants in pots. Then I got this kitten. She tried to climb them like a tree, destroyed them both. I had 2 of them. So I have a spare bedroom. I'm thinking I might just keep the door closed and not let the cats in there and grow stuff in that window, but sassafras. But there's a limit to what I can grow in one window in an apartment. So I'm thinking of other options. I might see if someone near where I live would let me put in a small garden on their land. Yeah, there's a lot of farmers around here and a lot of people that just have a lot of property. So, like, you know, there's space on their property that's not necessarily being used that, you know, maybe they'd let me use it, some space, in exchange for they could get some produce from my garden, or, you know, I could bake them homemade bread once a week or something. So I'm looking at how I can barter for the space to do that. I haven't like started reaching out to anyone to find out about doing that though. What skills do you think we're going to need, and what are you doing to learn those skills? I'd love to hear your ideas in the comments. Please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Stay safe and stay well, friends.